A couple of things in the news that I wanted to share with you that I think tie into the general theme. And in fact, I'm you're going to hear me ranting about this a fair amount because I think that this is really the issue of our day, the general theme of the crash of 2016. Why is it that our economy is going to crash? Why is it that our economy is already in the middle of a crash? Why is it that conservatives started planning this in the 1970s, put it into place in a big way in the 1980s with Reaganomics, and continue to do it? Not just in the United States, but all over the world. They call it austerity or conservative economics or Chicago School economics or libertarian economics. Why do they continue doing it when suicides are spiking in Greece and Spain, unemployment through the roof? And suicides are spiking in the United States in some places, and crime just all over. This economic program that these people have been promoting is failing. I mentioned yesterday, this new book that I've written. It's called "The Crash of 2016," and "The Plot to Destroy America" is the subtitle, and what you can do to stop it. Richard Trumka, who is the president of the AFL-CIO, about not just the book, but the message of the book, which is the message of this rant. This is basically what I'm sharing with you here. He said, Thom Hartmann explains the way critical social lessons fade over time and how dangerous that cycle is. America is at the tail end of such a cycle today as we stand amidst terrible inequality and on the precipice of tremendous change. And yes, Thom offers a compelling plan of action for activists. Everyone should read this book. Really sweet words from the president of the AFL-CIO, but more importantly, that's the point. We go in these cycles. Arnold Toynbee famously said, or words to this effect were attributed to him, that when the last man who remembers the horrors of the last Great War, and I would add the horrors of the last Great Depression, dies, the next Great War, and I would add the next Great Depression, becomes inevitable. We fail to learn from our lessons. Thus, these news stories, and they seem disconnected. The stories I'm going to share with you, it seems like they're not, what do these have to do with each other? They are all part of the same plan to take down the American middle class. Now, why would conservatives want to take down the American middle class? I'll explain that after I explain the plan. For example, here's the headline. Congressman who attacked fit couple on food stamps took $370,000 in stimulus money. And you think, okay, well, this is just, one of those ironic stories about, some congressional wanker who, some Republican who is going off about food stamps, and it turns out he's on welfare himself in a big way. Congressman Mark Wayne Mullen, Republican from Oklahoma, who blasted a physically fit couple for using food stamps at a suburban Virginia grocery store. So here's this congressman. He lives in Washington, D.C. most of the year, and he's in a grocery store in suburban Virginia. And a couple comes in and they buy some food and they use a food stamps card to pay for it. And he looks at them and they're like physically fit. And he's like, this is wrong. Right? They don't look like Biafran War victims. It's like, the Republican stereotype of people on food stamps is either that they're overweight because of, the food deserts that we have and by and large people of color because of the food deserts that we have in the urban areas, or they must be emaciated, right? You can't have somebody who's physically fit, really, on food stamps? How is that possible? This is what he said. He said, government needs to have a limited role in our lives. We can take care of ourselves. And he went off on this physically fit couple. What he failed to mention was that he owns a little plumbing business back in Oklahoma. And part of Obama's stimulus program offered money for infrastructure. And he was like, yeah, we can help fix the infrastructure of the county, the state, whatever. We got this plumbing business. He got $370,000 in Obama grants and stimulus grants for his company, which was struggling, which enabled his company to do well enough that he could run for Congress. Now, you think that that's just, like I said, a hypocrite. No, not so much. They really don't want people on food stamps to have food stamps. It's that bad. They really don't want there to be any semblance of even being close to the middle class. Because if you're physically fit, if you're part of the middle class, if you can get out there and vote and show up at a protest, you are potentially the enemy to the conservatives. As I said, this all started back in the 70s. And by the way, back then Walmart had this Buy America campaign. This article is from Alternate. It was published in partnership with the Institute for Local Self-Reliance. Stacy Mitchell. Walmart's latest scheme to replace the middle class with an underclass forced to buy its shoddy goods is the headline. Almost 30 years ago, the U.S. was bleeding jobs. Walmart launched a Buy America program, started their Made in America signs. I remember those. I thought it was true. It wasn't. It was just a PR campaign. And now Walmart just came out with this incredible, they're rolling out this huge PR campaign. We intend to buy $50 billion of American goods over the next decade, over the next 10 years. Wow, sounds really cool. That's an increase, a radical increase in the amount of American-made goods. And they're convening a Buy in America summit. Turns out, first of all, $50 billion is 1.5% of what Walmart currently spends on inventory over the next decade. So it's an inconsequential amount, first of all. But secondly, what is that Made in America stuff that Walmart's going to buy to increase their Made in America content by 1.5%? Groceries. They're taking over the U.S. grocery industry. In 1998, they had 6% of the U.S. grocery industry. Today, they have 25% of the U.S. grocery industry. And groceries, don't you know, mostly are grown in the United States. So when you buy a head of lettuce at Walmart that was grown in California, they say, made in the USA, another product out the door. You get it? They don't want there to be an American middle class. They had a strong American middle class, their workers would be demanding unions. This all goes back to the 70s and the 80s when Lewis Powell wrote his famous memo, which is, we have a whole chapter about it in the book, The Crash of 2016. Lewis Powell wrote that memo in which he said, basically, Chamber of Commerce needs to get its act together. We need to take over the universities. We need to take over the schools. We need to rewrite the textbooks. We need to take over the courts. We need to take over, business. Business needs to get politically active. We need to start buying members of Congress. We need to buy the Supreme Court. We need to own the White House. We need to take political power in this country. And the thing that pushed them over the top, by the way, was Ralph Nader and Rachel Carson. Carson or Carlson. I think it's Carson. Silent Spring and Unsafe at Any Speed. Those two books kicked off the demand that led to everything from the Environmental Protection Agency to seatbelts in cars. And that was what caused them to say, holy cow, and a middle class that wants to tell us how to run our businesses, we can't have that. To hell with that. And you will not, to this day now, you will not find a Republican who wants there to be a strong American middle class.